Happy Friday, everyone, of a 3-day holiday weekend we're going into. And I wanted to do something different, maybe even a little bit more fun for us, and kind of maybe challenge some of the questions and some of the comments that we've been seeing around social media and people have been asking us directly. And that is, are millennials entitled home buyers? And the reason this came up and the reason we're phrasing this is I saw this article that someone in my friend group on social media posted. These entitled millennials are cheering for a housing market crash. Millennials are actually cheering for a housing market crash on Twitter so they can afford a home. It seems the very image of entitlement. So I'm going to start off and tell you, no, I don't think millennial home buyers are entitled. I think if that is what I thought, I probably wouldn't be working with very many of them. And in fact, I work with tons of millennial home buyers. And I think millennial home buyers are fearful. I think millennial home buyers are the opposite of hopeful, right? I think that millennial home buyers are also very frustrated, and they feel like the game is stacked against them, and that it's kind of can be a no-win situation. And some of that's true, right? I think the fearful part is true. I think even to some degree, the deck is stacked against millennials. I think that might be true. And you know, I think there is an illusion that at some point in time, it was easy to buy your first home. And the fact is, it's never been particularly easy. There have been times when it's been easier, right? And how do we know this? Well, the percentage of Americans who own homes is declining over time, but it's declining slowly, right? It's not like 1 year it was super easy and everybody owned a home, and then within 10 years, nobody owned homes. It's not like that at all. You know, one of the things that I was thinking about is these time periods when it's easier to buy a home, they don't seem like it at the time. And I'm going to make a very bold prediction. My prediction is this, and I don't think this is going to happen, but if it did, if home prices dropped 10% in the next year, which is exactly what a group of millennials on Twitter is asking for, right? A housing market crash, let it happen now. I will bet money that that same group of millennials will not flood and run out there to buy houses. And how do I know this, right? I know this because I've seen the script to this play before. And in 2012, in hindsight, was an absolutely wonderful time to buy a house. I mean, great time to buy. If you had bought a home in 2012, you would be sitting really pretty right now, right? I mean, you would have tons of equity. You might even be moved up to some $1.5 million move-up home that you recently bought with a 3% mortgage. You would be in a great spot right now if you had bought a home in 2012. And yet, when we look back and we go back to the data in 2012, that was not a particularly brisk market. And why not? Because people had just come off a series of foreclosures and home price declines, and they were afraid. And so the point that I'm making with this is that when, as human beings, we are so slanted towards the short term that we find it very difficult to think in the long term. So even when things are pretty good. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is now a particularly easy time to buy a home? No, it is hard to qualify. I actually think, though, that now is a better time for first-time home buyers than 6 months. And you might even be thinking, if you're a first-time home buyer, what are the two things right now today that you wish you had? One, lower prices. Two, lower interest rates. Well, guess what? A year ago, you had both of those things, and you didn't buy a house if you're watching this video. So what does that mean, right? And why? And I think what's important to understand is that at the moment, a year ago didn't seem like a great time to buy, right? Like there was more uncertainty in your world. So if we take a step back and we kind of look at what is our market as a whole right now, let's look at the bad things in the market. Prices are high. Interest rates, we're going to call those medium. I actually think they can be higher than they are. In fact, in history, they have been in the double digits. So we're going to call these medium interest rates, right? Those are the two big negatives, but almost everything else is a positive on the other side of the scale. Inventory selection, we're going to call that a medium. And it's definitely a lot more inventory and choice than you had a year ago. Two, You can actually get your offers accepted with low down payments. That has not always been true in history. And in fact, in the last 18 months, that has not really been true. And three, you can actually negotiate concessions from sellers. And concessions might not seem like a great thing, but when you're a first-time home buyer, it can really make the difference. A concession can make up a closing cost gap if you don't quite have enough money saved. A concession can buy down the rate for the first couple of years. So if you think that your career is at its lowest launching point, in 2 years, you'll definitely be making more money. That can enable you to have a lower payment to get into a house today. So there are a lot of things about our market right now that are actually better. I also think that now is a time, particularly the market is soft on properties that need work right now. That was not true 18 months ago. So if you are handy and you are willing to put in sweat equity, now is a much better market for you to be buying in than 6 months or 12 months or 18 months ago. So, this really is a matter of perspective. You have to look at all the things you want in a market and understand that very few markets will have everything you want in them. Low prices, low interest rates, easy availability. I mean, that's a wish list, and it rarely exists. And even when it does, people don't seem to realize it, because usually those periods of time come after a huge market decline and people are afraid. So that's it for kind of our little soliloquy at the beginning. Let's go into the stats. Let me tell you about what is going on in our market right now. All right. So looking at our closed prices, and this is kind of interesting to me. So our blue line is entry-level single-family homes. What do we do if we kind of even out some of these homes? What do we see? Maybe a slight decline. And by slight, I mean like 1 or 2%, right? Nobody's really saving a lot of money. What about our condo market here? Well, we had a huge decline last week, but it kind of bounced back a little bit. That might be showing a little bit more. That's maybe a 5% decline, maybe in prices, but probably closer to 3%. Not really a huge amount of movement despite rates spiking. Total monthly payment. Bad news, rates spiked. Good news, they came down a little bit. So what are we looking at in terms of payments here? We're right around kind of this $5,300, $5,400, maybe $5,500 level for an entry-level single-family home. That is a 30-year fixed, 5% down, including mortgage, insurance, and taxes. It's right in that $5,500 range. If we are looking at our entry-level condo, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, again, these are in LA, Los Angeles, and Orange counties, we are right here in kind of this $4,300 a month level. Is this a great payment position to be in? No, but have you checked rents recently? And if you watch our other videos, median rents on single-family homes have been spiking the last 3 months. So it's not like you're seeing a lot of relief not doing anything. I think there's this temptation for home buyers to say, I'm just going to sit still and wait and kind of keep with the status quo. And the problem is the status quo may not necessarily exist for you. Minimum household income, we spiked a little bit, but then came down. We're right at $140,000 for our entry-level 3-bedroom, 2-bath single-family home. That is the minimum income your household needs without any other debts to qualify. And $105,000 here for our entry-level 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. What about our absorption rates? Well, they've actually rebounded a little bit. Our entry-level condo is at 70%. That is a mild buyer or mild seller's market. 61% is right in that very, very, very weak seller's market. What does that mean? The most attractive houses, you're going to face competition. The middle houses, probably not. And the low-end houses, you're going to be able to negotiate some concessions. Total inventory. Our entry-level condos actually declined. Does this mean we have hit kind of a new equilibrium for inventory? And if we have, it is still lower than our highest inventory levels last summer for our entry-level condos. Interesting. In our single-family homes, it is also turning over. Does that mean we're going to cap here at 2,500? That is still great, really. That is a quite a bit more inventory than we saw at any point last year, right? Like, I mean, really great selection. And is that stabilizing out? I'll be honest, it's a holiday weekend, and I find you really can't, it's not really appropriate to draw conclusions from 1 week in a holiday weekend week. So I'm not going to do that. You're going to have to wait for next week, and then I'll tell you what I think then. Our percent still active. So this looks back the past 14 days of all the listings that have come on the market. Look at where we were last year, 75% on our entry-level condos, 65% are entry-level single-family homes. A couple of weeks, we were kind of below 80 and in the mid-70s. Where are we now? Well, for our condos, we are actually not that far off to the same spot we were around last year. And our single-family homes are quite a bit higher, but they have dipped over and turned. Again, I'm not ready to draw conclusions from this. 1 week and a holiday week at that, that really isn't appropriate to draw those kind of conclusions. But that is encouraging because that implies a market that is finding an equilibrium and stabilizing out. Finally, we've got our relative inventory, right? This is the number of weeks of homes that we have available. Now, something kind of fascinating has happened, right? If we go back here, our total inventory for our condos dropped, our absolute inventory, right? This is just number of units. But our relative inventory continued to climb. What does that mean? Well, that means that the rate of buying is slowing for condos. Not entirely unexpected. Which people are going to face the most trouble in more difficult to qualify times? Probably condo buyers. If you look here for an entry-level single-family home, that actually dipped down a bit despite inventory actually still rising slightly. What does that mean? Well, it's exactly the opposite effect. That actually means that the rate of buying accelerated slightly on our entry-level single-family homes, and that is a sign of stabilization. I'm not ready to call it yet because it's kind of a weird week. So you're just going to have to wait until next week for us to kind of maybe see if there's some more stability and certainty in those indications. So thanks so much for watching. It is the Friday of a holiday weekend. I hope you all are going to be happy and safe this weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather outside here in Southern California. This is the reason why houses cost so much here, because it is an absolutely wonderful place to live. I always try to show a little bit of gratitude on holiday weekends. I hope you do too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you or someone you know would like to be a homeowner or should be a homeowner, and remember, at Domicile Real Estate, we are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. Absolutely reach out to us. Also, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again real soon.